JD, here is my thought of the week. It's my biggest thought of the day with all the drama surrounding Dame Lillard. He gonna rip his jeans because he's straddling the fence. And if you straddle the fence, you might end up ripping your jeans. Dame Lillard needs to go ahead and demand a trade. He's trying to be the good guy, but get bad guy results. What in the world do I mean? When great players, regardless of what they have done for a franchise and how long they have been at a franchise, if they choose to leave, more often than not, they will get reprimanded, regardless of how they choose to leave. I think about Russell Wilson, also in the Pacific Northwest with the Seattle Seahawks. Went to 2 Super Bowls, won 1. He left, went to the Broncos, and Seattle could not stand him. I think about LeBron James, Cleveland Cavaliers. He leaves. I know this firsthand because I was drafted to Cleveland the year after LeBron left. When I was drafted there, I'm looking for the big LeBron King James poster. It was gone, along with every single photo of LeBron James from the Q Arena, from that stadium. Because when a great player leaves, regardless of how they leave, you gonna feel some type of way. Dame Lillard is one of the most beloved players in the entirety of the NBA by every fan base. But if he does what he needs to do, demand a trade, he might, for the first time in his beautiful and illustrious NBA career, become a villain. However, you gotta get the results you want. And if you want to get those results, you got to be the bad guy. Slick, it's past time, Dame time, for him to demand a trade.
I agree. It's time. And whether that makes him a bad guy or not, he's about to turn 33 years old next month, July 15th. He's spent 11 seasons in Portland. He's risen from the guy that they drafted out of Weber State. People weren't sure exactly what he was, to the guy who was like, hey, I'm an all-star, pay attention to me. Like, I deserve this recognition. Taking him to the Western Conference, validating all of that. And so what's left? He's 33 years old. And the one thing that he has not played for, and the one thing that he's consistently said is, I want to play for a championship. And at this point, especially because he let it be known, I want to play for a championship. I want to bring a championship to Portland. And they had the number 3 pick. And they took Scoot Henderson. No offense to Scoot Henderson and what he expects to be, but he ain't getting him to a championship on a timeline that fits with Damian Lillard. So whether it makes him a bad guy or not, without question, it is time for him to say, it's time for me to move on.
Joy, you had a brilliant point on this pre-show, because I do believe Dame should demand a trade, only because that is what it will take for him to get out, in my opinion. What's your response?
I mean, I would, and I think he should, but I am very hesitant to say that because I don't want Dame to turn into a villain. Dame is a very unique personality and a unique player around the league. Everyone loves Dame. Even if you're not a Trailblazers fan, you love Dame. Like, fans, universally, NBA fans love Dame. This is one of those conversations that's kind of weird to have because most fans don't want players to leave.
Right.
Most media members don't encourage players to leave. There is this stigma of chasing championships and not being loyal. And he's talked about wanting to stay in Portland for such a long time, year after year. And I think we have to respect that as much as we respect players leaving to try and win championships. But because of that, and I've seen it with a lot of players, when you do leave, people turn. I don't understand why, particularly with Dame. We see how great he is. We imagine what would it be like for him to be around other great players in an organization that continuously sets up teams to go deep into the playoffs, which I don't think that the Blazers have done. But I've also seen fans go from loving a player to completely turning on him.
But I would say that that's because, in Dame's case, it's because he's built his the attraction on the fact that he's loyal.
Fair. Shady, I need you to get in here because you have been traded before. You've been a superstar player, so you can speak to this from experience and knowledge. Should he demand a trade? What's your thoughts?
I think it's time. I think he should. I think he should demand a trade. I mean, and I hear what you guys are saying about being the villain. I think on certain players, it matches up with the villain role. So LeBron James, right? You take it back. You talked about LeBron.
Yes, sir.
I think it was different. First of all, LeBron, MVP, GOAT conversation type of player, coming in with the Cavs. He was the guy. Yeah. They were going to championships. They were going to the finals. They weren't winning. So when he left in his prime, it was like, yo, what's going on with this guy? He's the best. Why is he doing that? And I think for Dame, it's like we think Dame is one of the best, but he's not in the LeBron James category. Dame's a great, but he's not on that great conversation with the LeBrons and et cetera. And I think it's also like the teams, the franchise. Kevin Garnett, when he left the Timberwolves, it wasn't a big villain role. Okay, He's done everything for this franchise he can do. He's so great. Let's let him leave and go get a championship with Boston. That's the same thing with Dame. Like, Portland's cool. I won't say anything great about Portland because I don't know nothing about Portland, but I wouldn't want to play there. But anyway, my thing is, like, if Dame leaves Portland, he's done everything he could do for that franchise. He's so great. Fans in Portland, let that man go. Please, y'all holding him back. 2 years ago, they trade C.J. McCollum. I'm thinking about, you talked about me getting traded. Like, okay, so I got Deshaun Jackson, I got Jeremy Macklin. Okay, we trade him. What are we doing? You trade C.J. McCollum. It's like, Coach, are we trying to win? We can't be. Then you go out here and you draft Scoot Henderson, who's a player that has to develop. We're the same position. How can he develop? And you want to develop your third overall pick for the future. Portland, let him go.
I think where you go matters, and we don't put enough stock into that. Shady made a brilliant point. Slick and Shady had a great conversation before the show off camera. I'll bring it on camera about Kevin Garnett. But from what I recall and having to go back and fact check myself, KG didn't go to a Celtics team that was good. He didn't go to a Celtics team that was historically in the NBA Finals in the last 5 or 10 previous years. Not historically, obviously the Celtics have won several chips. But if Dame were to go to some of the proposed destinations, the Miami Heat, been to 2 NBA Finals in the last 4 years. Clearly, the Lakers could use them. Won the NBA chip in 2020. Were in the conference finals just last year.
Sixers.
Shady whispers the Sixers. I think where you go matters because fans, as much as they love you, they love the name on the front of the jersey more than they love the name on the back of the jersey. So if you go to greener pastures, they will care more than if you go, with LeBron when he went to the Heat.
But I think that only applies to Blazers fans.
Yeah,
and Dame is not just for the Blazers. Like, Dame is a player that everybody around the NBA enjoys watching. So while Blazers fans might feel burned, and they might be salty about it, that's fine. Like, that fan base is allowed to feel that way. When LeBron did it, when KD did it, and you can go down the list of other players, there's a response from the whole NBA. Now, I agree with Shady. LeBron is a completely different situation.
You're a monster.
In a lot of ways, I think KD is similar.
MVPs, they're MVPs.
Yes.
So that matters.
But with Dame, I think part of it is because of what Slick said, that he's talked about it so much. But it's very difficult for me to see Dame in the villain role. Like, he's just so beloved around the NBA. That's why this conversation is so odd, because so many people want to see him deep into the postseason. They want to see him be able to compete for a championship, and no one really believes he can do it in Portland. But how will they feel once it's actually activated? Because why would he leave to go anywhere else other than someone who is actually in a position to compete? If he wasn't going to do that, he would just stay in Portland.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I do think some of the attraction is the idea that he wants to bring a ring to Portland. That's part of it. And so he's going to lose a little bit of that, right?
Well, he's going to lose all of that if he leaves Portland.
Well, but I think there's a little bit, I think because of his age, I think because he's 33, I think because they had a chance to pivot right here and take that number 3 pick and say, you know what, no matter what, Dame, you're our guy. You want to play for a championship here. We're going to help you do that. Drafting Scoot Henderson's not doing that. So it gives him that out that I told you I want to play for a championship and I want to play for a championship now.
Yeah.
And they went, that's nice. We're going to go ahead and take Scoot.
You know, I get the villain part, but, like, you don't think a franchise, the fans, you don't think that's why they start feeling bad for this guy? You got a superstar player here.
There are fans who do.
You know, it's like,
Blazers
you know what?
Fans, sure.
Dame, you did so much for us. We're going to let you go. You deserve to get a championship. He deserves it. Imagine having Damian Lillard.
Well,
I won't even go with the Sixers because I want my Sixers. But let's say in primetime television, conference games, finals, Damian Lillard. Compared to playing Damian Lillard with the Trailblazers, they play a couple of games. He's going to have his maybe 50, 60-point game. They might lose that games too. And there's nothing else other than just him performing because he's a great player.
This is the one thing I'll push back on, though, is we've gotten to this idea like players play a certain amount or they reach a certain level. They deserve, you said it, they deserve a ring, right? Or they deserve to compete for a ring. I'm like, not everybody gets that.
Yeah.
No, I disagree. I disagree with that. I think once you've once you've shown loyalty or whatever it is, once you've put in the time with an organization that's drafted you, once you've shown that you're trying to compete and win, and you're playing at a high level and you're dedicated and you take care of your body and you show up and you're the leader, and year after year after year, a great player can only do so much. They don't draft players. They don't develop players. They don't bring in free agents. They don't set up the roster. They don't hire the coaches. Do they have influence? Sure, but not as much influence as we make it seem in the media or fans think. So if a player shows up and does all that, and we can see that it's not the player that's holding them back, that there's a clear lack of talent, there's a clear lack of development from the organization, there's a clear lack of direction drafting Scoot Henderson. Once everyone can see that it's now outside of that player's control, I do think you deserve to control your destiny and make choices that line up with what everyone competes for, which is championships.
No. I'm not faulting a player who wants to go someplace else. And because he doesn't think he can win a championship in a particular place.
He makes it clear he wants a championship. He makes it clear.
The ideology that he deserves a ring because he's been somewhere for 10 or 11 years.
Yeah, and it immediately assumes that Damian Lillard is a championship caliber player. I don't know that.
That's my favorite part of all of this. I hope he goes somewhere else because I like closure as a sports fan.
Yeah.
Tom Brady, Bill Belichick. We were like, Brady can't win without Belichick. But we found out. We got closure because Brady left. This year with the Baltimore Ravens, I'm going to get closure. Greg Roman's been holding Lamar Jackson back. Thank God he got a new OC. We gonna find out. Russ, is he washed or not? Well, Sean Payton's there. So now we gonna find out. With Dame, I'm with you, Slick. We treat Dame, and to some degree rightfully so, as though he is a champion. But that word champion, and Shady knows because you've won twice, that word champion is reserved for a few. Everybody can't become one. Chris Paul, one of the best point guards of all time, one of the best. He does not yet earn that title of champion because he has not yet gone out there and taken it. So I can't wait. I'm ready for the closure of it.
So hold on. So, I mean, the Dame question was crazy if he's a champion or not. That's cool. But when I look at like sports figures and players, you telling me that when you put LeBron, before LeBron won a championship, did you think he was a champion?
No.
So you put him, you put him in the right situation. And then he became a champion.
Yes, sir.
I think Dame is in that same boat. You put Dame with the right pieces, right franchise.
He could be.
Right players.
He
could be a champion.
He could be.
But my thing is like, y'all saying is like, well, nobody's a champion until it happens.
Correct. Because think about. Let me go here real quick.
All the situations though.
But think about even LeBron. When he teamed up with the Heat, Joy knows it well. She watched it. I actually went to 2 of those games with as a Mavs fan. Even when LeBron teamed up with the Heat, his first year he wasn't a champion.
Nope.
He still had to become a champion,
close to a champion
that next year. So that being said, he was in the
finals.
Correct. I didn't say
they were in the finals before they even really gelled together. Before they knew the roles.
But he still had to become a champion. Okay, he was in the right situation.
Sure, but we're arguing if
whether 4 finals was it 4 or 3?
4 of them.
Come on.
We're arguing whether he's a championship level player. He's obviously not a champion because he doesn't have a ring.
Yes.
But a championship level player. Like, there's only a few players in any league that we are like, if we put them in the right situation, they'll have the ability to compete for a championship.
But
you're not going to just get a championship.
Agreed. But don't you think we've witnessed it now more than ever? Now more than ever, there's a fine line. I was going to say Jason Tatum, but also Jimmy Butler. There's a fine line between somebody who's a championship level player and a champion. I believe Jason Tatum is a championship level player. We saw it. He was in the NBA Finals just last year. Championship level player. But there is that great chasm, Joy, between championship level player and champion.
Of course, the difference is winning and not winning. But he's a championship level player.
Correct. That just is cool, but there are a lot of those.
That's not cool. There are not a lot of championship level players.
Jimmy Butler.
Championship level player. I'd say Luka's a championship level player. I would say just about every all NBA player, first team, second team, third team.
So before Kevin Garnett won a championship, what was he?
Championship level player.
So my thing is, if you put them type of players with the right organization and right team around him, they could be champions.
They could be, but what would you say James Harden was? He's a championship level player.
I've never thought that.
But you can't call someone a championship if they haven't won. But there are not that many championship level players. Like the top players in the NBA are championship level players.
Correct. But to me, I don't brag about being a championship level player. I can't esteem and all hail a championship level player because in my mind, there are 15 to 20 of those. But champions, that's where it just gets to be the galvanizing force of a championship team, that's where there are just fewer.
I'm confused. So what is Dame?
TBD. He right now
You don't know if he's a championship level player?
He's a championship level player. That to me just isn't worth
But well,
talking.
okay, but hold on a second. Are we guaranteeing that if he goes to the Miami Heat, what does that mean?
The Heat beat Bucks. They beat the Knicks.
Okay,
the Bucks, the Knicks,
but
and they
I'm
beat
saying
Celtics.
the Celtics.
If they go to the
without
Heat,
Dame, without Dame,
exactly, exactly.
And everything we talked about on this show was how the Heat had regular players,
Yeah.
Bam, and they had Jimmy.
Yeah.
You put Lillard in there. What you think? That Nuggets? That's
so
a way harder series.
So for him to be, I mean, let they get back to the finals with Dame, but they don't win it. They've done the exact same thing that they did.
This is a one year thing.
Well, he's 33. I don't know how many runs they're going to have.
That's what I'm saying now. Basketball guys, they go on 36, 37 balling.
Okay.
So my question is, hold on real quick. Put you on the spot.
Yeah.
Are you saying this is a 1 year thing? I'm asking. This is a 1 year thing?
I live my life only 1 year at a time.
I don't. You give him 2-3 years? Yeah.
He has to win a championship.
Yeah.
If he does not win
How
one,
about with the Heat?
Yeah, so
yes,
how do you
it would be
look
an
at
indictment. It would be an indictment on Dame Lillard
What do
if he
you
went to the
mean?
Heat.
He's never been to the finals. What are you talking about?
If he went to a team like
See,
the
we're
Heat,
already starting it. We're already starting it.
Yeah.
What is it? What is it that we're starting?
We're already starting building up the villain conversation. That if he leaves and he doesn't win a championship,
We're building up an expectation.
Why did he leave?
We're building up an expectation.
That is my truth.
If you're going to leave
Championships
Portland,
are hard to win.
okay, but if you're going to leave Portland, you're going to say, I'm going to go to Miami because they're one piece away and I'm that missing piece, and then they don't win a championship?
That's just where I stand. Like, as it stands right now for me with James Harden, you were better off staying in Houston. If you weren't going to go win nothing, you might as well just be in Houston, go to the clubs, put up 40 a game.
Why can't you keep trying?
How you know that? See, I look at Dame and Harden different. Like, I don't know if winning a championship is Harden's main thing I want to do. Where Dame, it's clear. I think, he wants to win the chip. You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
Look, give me 40 a game. Man, see the club. A little bit. Where we at?
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.